Hello class, this is the second tutorial video for Excel Module 2. In this video I'm going to be showing you some formatting along with some other miscellaneous items. So at this point in the textbook project you'd be about halfway through, and you can see here on the left hand side of my screen this is kind of the unformatted looking spreadsheet, and the back half of the textbook project is going to show you how to take it to what's on the right side to make it look more visually appealing and consumable by your users. So first things first, we can change the whole theme of the workbook, which allows us to very quickly make an overall change. Themes are typically have colors that somewhat match, and they look good together. If you're not trying to do a highly customized spreadsheet, these themes will make it very easy for you to very quickly make adjustments. So if you want to change the theme of your workbook, you go to the Page Layout tab, and then you can display the themes gallery and choose the desired theme. I'll show you. So here I am in the unformatted spreadsheet. Yours might not look exactly like this, but it'll look generally like this about halfway through the textbook project. And I go to the Page Layout tab, and you can see that I have this themes option on the left side. I hit the pull down. There are a whole bunch of themes. This generally works like what we've seen before, where you have a list of options, and as you hover over them, you can get an idea of what they'll look like in your spreadsheet, like a live preview. So if I want something that is boxy like this, I could use Atlas, or if I want something that's got a little more space, there's a ton of different options. But if I just wanted to choose one, let's say I choose integral, it changes everything in the spreadsheet to match that theme. Very quick, very easy. Let's make quick adjustments to make it look kind of like what I like. I can also change the background color and put borders around certain cells to help them stand out a little bit. In the textbook project, they're going to have you do that with the title and subtitle. So first of all, I'm just going to quickly, I'd like to do my merging of these cells. So I'm going to highlight them all, and I'm going to do merge and center. I'm going to do merge across, since I'm doing two different rows at the same time. Otherwise, you saw that it overlapped the second row, and I don't want to do that. And I can center that. And now I can color the background and put a box around the whole thing. So if I want it to stand out, maybe I want to use blue. And you see that I can do that by hitting this one that looks like a paint can tipping over. The pull down arrow next to it lets me choose from several different colors, or standard colors, or there's more colors. Or if I don't want any colors, I can choose no fill. Now if I want to put a border around it, this item here allows me to put borders around things. I just want to put a box around the entire thing. So I'm going to hit this pull down. You see there's a whole bunch of options. And perhaps I just want thick outside borders. I choose that. You can see when I click away, there are dark borders around this. You can't see it around the top and left edge because it's the very edge of the spreadsheet, but if you were to print this out, you would be able to see the full border going all the way around. So now it helps it stand out a little bit. Now, all of the cells that you fill in Excel will attempt to format them in what type of formatting that they think you want, whether it be number or text or date or accounting, things of that nature. Excel doesn't always get it right, or maybe your intentions are not what are the most common ones when you choose your cells. So you can choose them manually. So this here, we're going to show you how to do formatting of dates, and then being able to center data in the cells. So over on my spreadsheet, I had this hire date field. This won't look exactly like yours because I cleared formatting on this, but these are actually dates here. But obviously they don't look like dates, so I want to format them like a date. So I will highlight the cells that I want to format, which are starting here, and then going down here. And right now it says General here under the Home tab, this section here. I can hit this pull down next to general, and I have a bunch of options, and I've shown this once before, but I could do short date, which is like a date slash month slash year, or I could do a long date, which actually writes out the day, the month, and the year, or any number of different options under more number formats. But if I just want to very quickly do short date, now I've got a date that's pretty common for what people are used to looking at. And I also want to center my dates in this case. Right now they're right aligned. If you want to center align, you can again go under your home tab and you've got these options here. This is left align, this is center align, and this is right align. If I choose center align, all of my dates move to the center of the field in a nice straight column. I can also apply a counting number format and add commas if I want to. So if I go back over to my spreadsheet, and right now these are just numbers with any number of decimal places. You see gross pay here has 0.9375. Obviously that doesn't make any sense. We need to format that in a number style or an accounting style. So I'm going to highlight this whole column here. And right now it says general. I could do this item here, which will immediately move it into accounting format. I can also hit this down arrow on the bottom right corner, and this will bring me into the format cells under the number type tab. And I can say I want this to be accounting, and I want 2 decimal places, and I want to choose a $sign symbol because I'm in the United States. So I hit OK. Now I've got this in a nice accounting format. You see it automatically put the comma in. If I didn't want the comma, I could choose this option up here at the top that says comma style and make it so it doesn't show up. Or I can bring it back. I've already shown you using the format cells dialog box. But currency style is similar to accounting, but I'm going to show you the difference here. So in this one I did accounting style. If I wanted to do currency style, I'm going to do this column in currency style instead of accounting. You're going to see currency style, whereas accounting style moves that $sign symbol all the way to the left end of the cell. No matter how wide my cell is, it always keeps it aligned to the left. You can see that that currency style doesn't do that. It keeps the $sign attached to the number on the very left edge. So it looks a little bit different. Typically in accounting, hence the accounting style, you're going to see these numbers where they keep them on the left edge kind of out of the way. But you can also use currency style where the $signs are right next to the actual numbers. Percent style. So this is another formatting style that you would want to use. So here we've got tax percentage, and some of these are really long percentages, some of them are really short. It's kind of distracting because there's just so many numbers, and a lot of them are somewhat meaningless because they're behind so many decimal places. So I want to make these look like percentages. So I highlight it, and you can see this percent icon up here. If I click on that, it takes it to a percent style. So instead of 0.25, it now says 25%. This isn't quite as detailed as I like, so I would like to add a few decimal places to this. Here is where you can add or remove decimal places. So if I hit this item, you can see it added 1 decimal place, adds 2 decimal places, and so on. I can get ridiculous with this, or I can shorten it back up with this other arrow. Typically 2 decimal places are plenty for a percentage. I can also apply what's called conditional formatting. So conditional formatting will, for instance, highlight a cell that fits a certain criteria that you establish. And here's a list of some of the general conditional formatting ones. You can have, let's say I want to color the cell if it's between 2 numbers, or I only want to color it if it's not between, if it hits a specific value or doesn't hit a specific value, if it's greater than a number, less than a number, greater than or equal to, or less than or equal to. And this usually helps you see outliers in your data or things that you really want to highlight to make sure that the person consuming the data in your spreadsheet can see the information they need to see quickly. So in my spreadsheet here, perhaps I want to know who has worked less than 70 hours because it seems like those people are not getting their hours done like they should be. So I can highlight those cells, and then I have this option under the Home tab called Conditional Formatting. And they have a bunch of pre-established ones that I can use. I can either highlight or I can do scales. But let's say I do highlight cell rules if they're less than, and I want to say if it's less than, I think I said 70 hours. And you can see it live previews it for me. Anything less than 70 hours, I hit OK, and you can see it's very obvious if someone has less than 70 hours. You'll see here, this person has 60 hours. Perhaps I made an error when I was entering it. They actually have 75. I hit enter, and you see that it live updates. It immediately says, well, that person doesn't fit the conditional formatting anymore, so I don't need to have it highlighted anymore. But when they're less than 70, you can see that it's got it meets the conditional formatting, so it highlights the cell. You can change column widths, and you can also change column or row heights. I've shown this in previous videos, but I just want to make sure that you can see it in the spreadsheet here. Obviously, this needs to be adjusted because you can't even see the entirety of these people's names. If I just go up here on the right edge of the column, you can see that my cursor turns into a left and right arrow with a vertical bar in the middle. If I click and hold with my mouse and move this, you can see that it allows me to widen it out, or if for whatever reason I wanted to, in this case, I can make it skinnier. But I can get it to the width that I want it to be and leave it there. You can do the same thing with column height. You see this column or row height. You can see this row height's way bigger than it needs to be. I can actually take this at the bottom of the row, and this time I get an up and down arrow with a horizontal bar, and I can click and drag and move it up. And then when I let up on my mouse, it updates. If you want to be very specific about your widths, you can do that. You can also just double click on the right edge. Like this column, obviously the email addresses are too long. If I just double click on the right edge of the column header up here, you can see that it just goes to the width that it needs to go to include all of the data in the entire column. If I wanted to do everything very quickly, I can hit this spot on the very upper left edge of the spreadsheet, which highlights the entire spreadsheet. And then when I click on the right edge of A1, it actually adjusts every column for me throughout the spreadsheet to be the amount of width needed to show all of the data within the cells. I can do the same thing with column height. By clicking on the bottom of row 1, it automatically updates. So now my spreadsheet has nothing hidden. Everything is wide enough to show on the screen. And I've already shown you the change row height. You can check spelling in your worksheet. Unlike a product like Microsoft Word, where as you type, it automatically puts the squiggly lines to tell you, hey, there's something wrong with your spelling. That doesn't automatically happen in Excel. You actually need to tell it to run a spell check. So if you want to check your spelling, perhaps I have, I have bad spelling here. It doesn't automatically tell me, but I want to check my spelling in my spreadsheet. So you want to start at the very beginning of your spreadsheet. So I click in cell A1, which is highlighted across, but it's the very top part of my spreadsheet. And then I go to review, and I have that option here that says check spelling. So I click on this, and it will work itself starting from the top of your spreadsheet. It will work down and check the entire spreadsheet for spelling errors. Now this is somebody's name, so I'm assuming that I spelled this right. I don't want to actually change it. I'm going to say ignore. Oh, it found this spelling error. I was trying to spell the word this instead of vas. So it suggests, hey, maybe you're trying to say this. I like that suggestion. I can hit change, and then it will automatically change that for me, and then it will finish up the rest of the spreadsheet. Didn't find any more errors. I can hit OK. Now I've at least checked the spelling on my spreadsheet to make sure there's not any obvious typing errors. Printing the worksheet, I have mentioned this before. At the end of the textbook projects and at the end of the other projects, they typically ask you to go through the process of printing your spreadsheet or your workbook. You don't actually have to do it to complete the assignments. There's nothing that tracks that you've done it, but you could do it for your own record keeping, or you could do it just to be able to know how you need to, if you ever need to print your spreadsheet in the future. So you can just go to your file page or your file tab, which brings you to backstage view, and you can choose print. And then you see you get a print preview. And you've got all kinds of options here, and I've gone over this before, so I'm not really going to go over it again in a very detailed fashion, but you can print active or the entire workbook. You can choose whether you want one-sided, two-sided, general print options. You can choose your margins, and then you can go ahead and print, and then it will make you a physical copy of your spreadsheet. Note here that it says page 1 of 2. I've actually got columns that didn't fit on page 1, so it's spread it out onto a second page. I could choose instead of no scaling, I could choose fit sheet to one page, and then it will force that column to be there so that it can fit it all on one page. This is also something that can be pretty valuable. Showing the formulas in your spreadsheet. This can be used for the value of printing, but it can also be a good way to review the formulas that you've got in your work to make sure everything's accurate. So if I go back over to my spreadsheet, right now you can see all the numbers, and some of these numbers have formulas behind them. You know that because we've been working through that. But if I hold down the Control key on my keyboard, and then I click on the accent key, which is typically just above the tab key on the upper left side of your keyboard, you're gonna see that instead of now seeing the numbers, it's actually showing me the formulas. So I can see that each one of these rows has a formula in it, and that the formulas are all referring to the appropriate cells. I could very quickly scan, like, okay, it's all 0.04 times the appropriate row. So I can look through and find any errors in my formulas very quickly. I could print them so I have a physical copy of them. To get out of this mode, I again hold down my Control key and click the accent key, which again looks like an apostrophe. And then it takes me back to my normal mode with the same column with formatting that it had previously. So I can always toggle back and forth between these two if I want to. That's it for this tutorial video. As always, if you have any questions, make sure you take advantage of that Q&A forum that's available on the content page, the main content page in Blackboard, or you can always send me an email or a text if you can't get me by email, and I'll do everything I can to assist. Thank you.